Welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome, everybody. Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. Happy Easter to everybody. Hope you guys had a great time with your family and friends and whoever you chose to spend the day with. We had my sister-in-law over and my little kids hunting Easter eggs. They are 9 and 11 now, and hunting Easter eggs, finding their baskets, eating chocolate bunny ears, all that good stuff. So it was a good day. A little chilly here. I think we only got into the 60s. Took the dogs for a run up at the park with my youngest. She rode the bike around and just kind of hung around having a good time after all the Easter festivities. So hope you guys had a great one, and thanks for everybody that's joining. My wife was wondering if I was doing this. Sorry for the stuff in the background. My office, I've been doing a lot of filming, and my office is getting a little I need to spend the day cleaning it up. I need to put the stuff behind the curtain. It'd be a disaster if I open that baby up. But anyway, so Matt, I'm going to cover this real quick for you. We talked a lot about it last week. I didn't realize that you had dropped off and missed some of that, but here's what I wanted to look at. This is the decision that you need to make. So a 204 stroke. I don't know. It doesn't matter what boat they're looking at, but I just wanted to see the variance from the 200 to the 250. So if you go the 204 stroke, actually, let me go. We'll go full screen on that. Crap. I don't like that. All right. So on the 200, if you can see, is 28,935 for the 204 stroke. When you move up to the 254 stroke, you're moving up to 36,900. So we're going to say 29 and 36. So $7,000 difference. If you move up to the Verado, the 250 Verado, which if you're going to make the jump, I would probably go to the Verado, that 250 Verado, and that's 237.6. So another what is that, 1,500 more. So you're at 8,500 more. Now, $8,500 is a decent chunk of change. And so the decision that you need to make, Matt, or that they need to make, and for those of you um, that don't know, Matt's got a friend that's looking at buying a pontoon, Tri-Toon. It's a 23-foot or 25-foot deck with 23-foot length pontoons. I'm making the assumption that they're 25-inch tunes on all three. But the question Matt's pushing, you got to go with the 250. I'm saying you don't have to. I still, Matt, I'm going to stick with what I said is even with that group with, what is that? You said, and nice job of covering the average of 175, just in case the wife or some other ladies that you know are watching. 175 times 8, that gives you 1,400 pounds on the boat in addition to everybody else. Okay. That extra, let's say, I don't know, 600 pounds from having 8 people on the boat. Yes, it's going to make the 200 not be able to run 38. It's probably going to run mid to low 30s, depending on what the boat is and what other furniture's on the boat, which for most people is going to be enough to do virtually everything that they want to do. Okay. If you're slalom skiing, yeah, you better be pretty good at it. But if you're slalom skiing with 8 people on the boat, you're probably good. You're not just screwing around. So the 200 will do the trick. I know this because I'm 6'2", 125. And I can get up on a 22-foot Tri-Toon with a 150 4-stroke, Mercury 4-stroke. Okay. I know it can be done on that setup. So with the 200, with the 23, and 8 people on the boat, and that's with 6 people on the boat in my case, but a couple of them that are over 300 pounds, and me being a bigger guy behind the boat. I'm a good skier. I can get up, I can drag for a long period of time, but I can get up on that 150 without drowning. I don't pop right up like if I'm getting up behind, something with a 250 or a 300 on it, but I'm getting up pretty good. It's not too bad. So is the 250 necessary? 100% not necessary. Are you ever going to be disappointed if money's not a factor? If $8,500 or let's say $8,000 is not a factor, then put the 250 on it. But don't feel like you have to. Don't feel like you have to. But it would be great. Is it more fun to cruise at 27 miles an hour and only being at 3,500 RPMs versus cruising at 25 miles an hour and being at 4,000 RPM? Maybe. You're going to burn a little bit more fuel with the smaller horsepower, going similar speeds, because the higher horsepower is going to run at lower RPM, but it's 100% not necessary. And it's a matter of that jump. And like I said, if you're going to go to the 250, if you're on the Mercury, if you're going to go with the 250, spend the extra $1,500 and get the Verado. It's my opinion, a better overall engine, newer technology. There's advantages to it, with steering, vibration, especially on a pontoon. You can't hear them at all. They're practically silent. That's the word I was looking for. So anyway, that's my thought on that. Okay, Matt. All right, let's see here. I'm going to go back up to Ray because I know Ray needs a boat for the summer. And all right, let me go back to me. And we're going to pull up the Lund 185. I don't know what version of the 185 you're looking at. 1875 maybe. they've got a lot of different layouts. So if we go, I'm going to guess a little bit that he is looking at a windshield boat. If you know the exact model, yeah, there we go. I wonder if it's this impact looks. I'm going to go with this one in the 1875. But when you look at the competition, Crestliner, again, 18-foot windshield V bottom. When you look at the competition, and I don't know, probably the Superhawk 1850. Very, very similar looking boats, windshield boats, made in different factories, but you're seeing side by side. You probably are having a hard time comparing if you don't know. But what I like to do is, what do we say? That was the impact. Starting at 45.7, and the Superhawk starts at 47.8. So similar. I'm surprised that the Crestliner is more. I wonder if they're starting with the 115. I wonder what the 115. Oh, they're starting it with the 90. That's part of why you can go by with the painted trailer in freshwater. Never go with the painted trailer in saltwater. That sucker will rust away the first time you dunk it. Now they're going to make me submit a whole form. But what I would do is 46,759 is the asking price with the, let's see if that, yeah. So that's going up. You can just easily build it and compare it to the Crestliner, to the low. And I think you're going to find that that they're all going to be comparable. But if you've had a great experience with the Bennington dealer, if they offer Lund, Lund is going to be a top of the. It's going to be on the premium side of the aluminum. And I say top of the line. I don't know that it's 100% the best, but it's going to be a great option for you. And build it out, Ray. If you want to send it over to me after you build it, just send me the build sheet. I'll take a look at it and see if there's anything that jumps out at me that would be, hey, this is something that you might want to consider. This is something that I see this other model that might be a better option, and or another brand as well. But as you know, Ray, I talk about all the time, the dealer being incredibly valuable in the whole process. And if you know you've got a good dealer relationship, then that's a huge thing. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Put that over there. All right. 211 got the boat on the water yesterday for a little while. Did find some warranty issues, called salesman, talked to him about it. Met me yesterday evening at their shop, looked at it and said they would let me know Monday after they found the cause. The dealer is very important when buying a boat. Well, what, just 100%. Yeah. And that's awesome. When you get a brand new boat, and I've said this to people that have bought the premium level, the mid-tier, the value, it does not matter. I say this in my problem with new boats video. Every new boat will have an issue. The dealer's job is to find as many of them as possible before delivery. They balance. I want to deliver this boat as quickly as I can, but as perfectly as I can. The more perfect, the more time it takes, the quicker, the less perfect the boat's going to be, and more things they're going to kind of sneak by. And also some of the things you just don't find until you run it for a little while. You just don't find until you've got multiple people on the boat moving around and using it and bumping things and opening and doing things like you would when you're using the boat. For better or worse, it's the nature of the handmade manual labor process that boats are made with, that will be made with for a long time. And as 211 said, that makes the dealer on a new boat critical. It makes them so important. And, somebody that says, hey, bring it to us, walk me through it, and we'll get back to you on Monday. And a manufacturer that has a good relationship with the dealer, and you'll have a good experience. It's so important. And 211, hopefully it's just little things that they can get fixed quickly. And I would love to hear next week how well that process went for you, and anything that you learned. But I'm glad to know you hit the water with it once, and we'll get it there quickly. Work to get my Regal 28 set up today. Potable water pump not doing the chug to build pressure, but I can hear electronic hum. Yes, Gary, they absolutely do lose prime. What you want to look for, you might have a couple of them on the boat, but what you want to look for is there a cylinder. I don't know what Regal uses specifically. Water pump on. Let me show you if I can find an image of one. There we go. It probably looks. Find one that's got the right angle that I can show you the little cup that you need to prime. Let's see if this one is. That's not really what I want. All right. I don't know. All right. So somewhere. There we go. This is probably a good look. So somewhere you might have it in the cabin. Sometimes they'll put it up under the sink in the galley. Sometimes it'll be in the engine compartment. You might have multiple. It might be right by your fresh water, your potable water tank. But this little guy right here, you're just going to unscrew it. It just unscrews. There's a little mesh screen in there that you can kind of see it through there. There you go. That mesh screen will sometimes get some gunk in it. You can pull that out and just rinse it out in a cup of water or something. Get a toothbrush maybe. It's been a year old. I don't know how much growth you've got in your system, how much you go through that water. But I've seen them that have sit for a couple of months. The water gets warm. It starts growing some algae and some funk in there. And those can be really nasty to clean out. But you should be cleaning that a couple times a year just through the season. Unscrew that cap, pull that little guy out, rinse it in water, maybe brush it with a toothbrush or some soft bristle brush, put it back in there. Depending on how it's sitting, a lot of times they'll sit on their side. And so just if you can fill it up from the water side and get that to prime. Once that fills, then the pump will prime and you'll be in business. But it looks similar to that. There's several different types, but they have this same concept of a little filter. Let me see. This is another style. Like I said, I don't know exactly what Regal uses, but you can see it's got that same kind of concept with a pull-out filter. And again, that's the area that the water usually doesn't prime in. When the system's completely dry, that's usually where that prime is lost. You got to get that filter filled up, and then you'll be good to go. And again, that one's, you just unclip it, slide it out, and you're good to go. So hopefully that helps you. Jerry, if you get stuck, take a picture of it, send it to me, and I'll be glad to help you out. But it's pretty simple. If you can find it, and they're a serviceable item, so they're usually pretty easy to find. You'll be in good shape. And for that boat, my gut tells me you just got one, but there may be a second one in there. Let's see. Troy, welcome, Troy. It's a name I don't recognize. I have a new LS6 with the Volvo 350, Regal, Volvo, recommendations, first service after 20 hours, 50. When should I get the first service done? On the new Regals, I want to say their first service requirement is, it might even be 100, but Volvo into 2022. Schedule. I always like to go to the manufacturer and see what they say, and then I'll tell you my thoughts on it. Download the service protocol. Okay, yeah. So they're not going to give me the manual, but a lot of them are saying you don't need to do the first service for the first 100 hours or the first 2 years. Part of that is marketing pushing. We want to say boats are easy to own. Here's my recommendation: is if it's my new boat, I'm going to get that first service in the first 20 hours. And here's why: is because even though the engines are so precise and the specs are, I mean, there's so little shavings, which is why they used to say you got to do your first service in 10 hours or 20 hours, is because we want to get all those shavings out of there as the machine is chugging along, those pistons are going, and little things that weren't quite to spec, there's little fragments that are going to get in there. We want to get all those run through, and we want to get them out in that first couple hours, right? First 10, 20 hours. So we have a level of precision now that's not really required. But why I still like to do it, even though it's above and beyond what the manufacturer recommends, is because if an engine's going to have issues, it's probably going to be in the first 20 hours in like 90% of the cases. There are some things that come as you get towards the end of the warranty, but if you were to look at a bell graph of it, most of them would be, the big, huge number would be in the first 20 hours and right before the warranty expires, like at a couple 100 hours, right? So I want to get the oil changed, the gear lube changed, the impeller changed even. I want somebody to go through that knows these engines, changes that, and does a quick inspection and says, everything looks great. And boom, now I'm ready to go. And I get on the 100-hour interval. Is it 100% necessary? No, not at all. It's just just like I know boats are very handmade, and there's things like 211 has found that warranty that needs to be fixed right out of the gate. And people that buy new boats are like floored, because that's not how cars work. You expect you drive it off the lot, and I don't have nothing to worry about for 100,000 miles. On boats, it's like the first 2 times out are going to be the times that you have something happen. I remember when my family bought our first boat, the first day we took it out, Dad took it out, ran it around by himself, because we went from an outboard 16-foot tri-hull with the 85 Mercury to a 18-foot deep V stern drive with the Mercruiser that had a 135 was the 4.3 at the time. And he took it out to run it by himself. The family loaded up. I sat in the back seat by the motor box, which was one of my favorite seats as a kid. We hit a big wave. Boom, the seat broke. And my dad yelled at me because I just broke our brand new boat. Well, it turns out a crappy design and they changed it and fixed it. And they said, oh, that happens all the time, but it happens on the first outing, which is awful for the experience. But on the engine side is it can find something little that may turn into a problem. You get it addressed, you get it right under warranty. They can't say it's because of lack of maintenance, and you get it done. But it's not 100% necessary. Just follow the service manual, and my gut tells me it says the first 100 hours. But I haven't read what's the most recent. Yeah, my most recent one that I've got is from like 10 years ago. I had a Honda Pig, a product information guide on the Hondas, but I don't know where that is. It's not in my little stash. I've got all sorts of manuals and stuff in that drawer, but that would be my recommendation is either do it right away at the 20-hour mark, or go by exactly what the manual says. And if that boat, Troy, doesn't have any hours on it, break it in according to what the manual says. I'm not even going to attempt to tell you what it is, but you're going to run through a series of RPMs, and you follow that exactly. That's going to get everything to seat properly. It's going to give the engine the best chance of having the longest, best life it can. Like the first 10 hours of that engine's life is probably some of the most important hours on that engine's life. So follow that to a T, and then maintain it the way it's supposed to be maintained. Hopefully that helps you out. Yeah, Jerry just broke in his. He's got a 28 Regal Express with Volvo as well. So he has he has yes, gotta love the Regals. He's got a new Regal. I want to say a 2021 280 Express. So I love talking to you about this stuff. I have a Shap SSI 300 IO. We have a lot of people on the boat. 300 Bravo 1. Yes, for sure. For sure. And here's the other thing, Matt. I think I mentioned this. I was having a lollipop before the show, but I think I mentioned this last time. I don't know if you caught it, but with the stern drive, you've got all that big heavy engine in the back and your lower units down. So you get the bow rise on your Shap and you go. So having that extra torque, having the Bravo 3 drive with the 2 counter rotating props get you up and going quick. It's a big advantage. On a pontoon with even with the big heavy outboards, you get very little bow rise and you just go. It's one of the, if you were to race, right? If you were to race your friend and they have the 200 and you've got your 300 on your 230 SSI, they will beat you off the line, and it'll take you a while to catch up because you've got bow rise, get up on plane, and get that boat cutting through the water. And even though you got it trimmed up and you're planing and only the back third of your boat's riding in the water, that pontoon is almost instantly on plane. Outboards are quicker. They are lighter. And the pontoon is much lighter than your boat if you were to weigh it, even with the people on board. And when you look at what's in the water, you've got the back a little more than a third of the boat in the water, but they're only the tubes. So they're only that little section of round that's in the water. And that baby has very, very little friction. Even with the extra weight on it, that's got very little friction on it compared to your boat that has the whole V-hull, the whole surface area of the bottom, compared to just 3 tubes with a portion of the tube touching the bottom. So that's why that's why I say what I say about the 200 versus the 250. Even heard two different answers from my local Regal dealer. Initially, they told me 20, 25 hours. Yeah, Troy, here's what that is. They probably don't keep up with reading the manual. You talk to a sales guy like myself. I'm a sales guy. I wasn't as detailed as I could have been when I was selling boats. And it's so commonplace to us that if they've been in the business for 20 years, the standard has been 20, 25 hours. And it's not like if you go 22 hours, your engine's going to blow. It's like, do it around that time. You're okay. The 100-hour service. If you do it at 95, great. If you do it 110, fine. You're okay. Don't go to 150, but that range. And in the past, as the precision has gotten better, the manufacturing process, their what do they call it? Their not their specs, whatever the fancy word is that the engineers use, their variance for, we can be 0.000 mils off and still be within tolerance has gotten tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And now with CAD design, they're so precise in the way they're building these that they're really ready to go right out of the box. And unless there's a manufacturing defect, these engines are rock solid. If you talk to a guy that's been in the business for 20 years, he's been saying 20-hour service for so long, and he's never gone back and read the new manuals. And it was partly the manufacturing process, but the marketing guys got a hold of this and said, all right, we're more precise. How much can we get away with before we tell them they have to? And Evinrude did this. Oh, you don't have to do any service for 3 years or 300 hours. And now all the marketing people said, well, they're going to kill us with that. We've got to compete. So the marketing people said, we're going to change this and we're going to start talking about it. The manuals got updated, but the frontline people that do this, they still, not all of them have gone back, read the manuals, and got the updated information. So you'll have old salts from the store saying, like me, just do it at 20 hours. It doesn't cost that much, and it could prevent a huge problem. And then you have, somebody that's read the manual and they're trying to sell you the boat. They might say something on the longer end, but as Jerry said, go to the manual and do that at the minimum. If you want to take my advice as a better, you just spent, that L6 was 80 grand or more. You just spent 80 grand on a boat. Spend an extra $500 on that first service, because it is the most important one, is what I'll say. But but you already know I love these Sundays talks about stuff and getting your videos on it. Never run a pontoon with either engine, so I don't know. Yeah, and I think here's what I would say is, if you have the opportunity, get as many of those people on a 150 and it doesn't have to be exact, but a 150, 23, 24 footer, and get out there and see for yourself. It's really an eye opener running an outboard on a pontoon compared to running a stern drive on a fiberglass V-hull. I haven't had the issue on my freshwater pump. I haven't ever fully drained it, build up the pressure in the system, then cut off till water is run. Yeah, it's when I was selling boats, like I said, when I had a really dirty one and that filter would get clogged, I wasn't smart enough to just take off the whole hose clamp and like flush all that stuff out. And then I would run like a light bleach solution through it and, let that shake around a little bit until I got all that out. So the customer that was buying a 10-year-old used boat started with a brand new, fresh tank, fresh filter, ready to go, because it was such a pain. But I had a lot of the pump not priming because of the way I did it. And but once I figured out, you can just put some water in there and it goes pretty quick. You can get them going pretty easy. And that was 10, 15 years ago. And the pumps have gotten better with the easier filters and the smaller cups that don't lose prime as easy. We de-winterize the boats, flush. Yeah, and that's Herb. Where are you, Herb? I don't know if I know where you are for sure, but yeah, that's you want to drain all that out, put some of the pink stuff in there, and or blow those lines out so you don't have anything in it at all. Um, it'll be a pretty easy fix now that you know what you're looking for. Okay, so if you already know where it is, you're good to go. Charlie, welcome. Haven't seen you for a while. Coming out of Huck's 2012 is up in Minnesota by Minneapolis. Runs a jet boat on the river up there. He's got a what do you get it? Charlie, is it 2 years now that you're going on? This would be your third summer. With a Yamaha, I forget what it is, a 242 maybe. Getting my boat from storage in 2 weeks. How long should I run the twin engines on land to clear the winter as chemical before I change the plugs and the oil? It'll, I mean, you fire it up and run it on a hose for 5 minutes and it'll be through there. As a matter of fact, on the Yamaha drives, there's really very little in there to start with. So you run it for 5 minutes and it's all good to go. Do your change and you're all set. Charlie, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, but one thing, anybody that's got a jet boat that is on the live, make sure you're pulling your plugs, not your plugs, your access ports. Yamaha ports. I forget what they call them. Clean out ports, the clean out ports. So I think this is a single engine, but you've got these clean out ports right here. Make sure you're opening those up and actually pulling that little plunger guy out. If you don't pull them out on a consistent basis, at least, once a year, is they can get kind of caked in there and they can be really, really tough to get out if you let them go for much over a year or two. And so just get in the habit of cleaning that out. Just check it for line. Make sure that you don't have anything tangled up on there. You probably know it if you do, but just get in the habit of pulling those to make sure if you do have to pull them, that they slide out real easy and you know how to do it. And you're doing that on a, once, twice a year is probably okay. And then you'll be good to go to dump it in the river, Charlie. Here's the topic for the day. Mercury sent me their extended warranty options for my 400, 5 years on top of the standard 3 years, $13,000. Sounds like break out another 1,000. Yes. So I did, let's see here. I've done a video on this and I have had multiple people reach out to me and I've had multiple people reach out to me to offer extended warranties to people they know. As yes, with a $13,000 price tag for an extra 5 years to give you 8 years of coverage, has an enormous amount of profit in them. Hey, you're in business to make profit. I've got a business. A lot of you have businesses or in sales. Profit is what keeps the business going. If you don't have profit, you can't maintain the business. You can't offer service, all that stuff. We've talked about it in negotiating boat price of getting the best possible deal and making sure that dealer is able to take care of you for the long haul. It matters. The warranty, I can make money on this. And I say, absolutely not. I will not sell extended warranty. If you want an extended warranty, though, the only place to get it is from the manufacturer. They're the only ones that have some built-in, let's say, some skin of the game and standing behind the warranty. The other warranty companies, the way they make their money is by selling a lot of warranties and having as few of claims as possible. Well, they have zero control over the number of claims, right? They don't build the engines. They don't know how reliable they're going to be, really. They're just hoping the manufacturers did a good job. They're doing some actuarial voodoo and figuring out what the numbers should look like and saying, we're going to charge enough so that if we do have claims, we still make a profit. The fewer claims they have to pay out on, the more profit, which means they're incented to turn claims down, to make the claim process difficult. Now, if you're let's see, your Verado, so your Mercury product protection, they don't even call it Mercury. It's not a Mercury warranty. It's the maybe it's even the Brunswick product protection, but it's from the manufacturer. They still make their profit on having as low of claims as possible, but at least they have the brand to keep intact, right? There's value in them standing behind their product and their warranty to keep Mercury in good standing in your mind, right? Would For me, this is what I say in the video. It takes me 9 minutes and 35 seconds to say this, but I would not spend the money on the warranty personally. But then again, I'm also a guy that is totally comfortable buying used vehicles, and buying used boats and things like that, because I've got a confidence level that I can do the right inspection and limit the number of issues that I have by buying smart and saving the, 20, 30, $40,000 and saying, all right, I'll take a portion of that. And no, I'm going to have to do some repairs on it. I look at it the same way on the warranty is, man, sustainability. First of all, you have to think to yourself, am I really going to keep this Bennington Q? I know it's badass and I know it looks sweet and I know it runs hard and you love it now, but in 5 more years, are you going to want something new? There's so spending $13,000, one, you're probably not going to have a claim that's over that. And if you do, well, you've got $13,000 that you can spend that before you hit that break even point of, well, my repair's got to be more than $13,000 for it to make sense for that warranty. Is the $13,000 going to give you more resale value? Some. It'll get you a little bit more, maybe $500,000. Hang on, I got to plug my computer in. I've got to um if I'm buying a used boat and it's got a warranty, yeah, that might get me to buy that over another one that doesn't, but I'm not going to pay a significant amount more because of that. Maybe 500, maybe $1,000, 1,500, but it's not going to be anywhere near a quarter of the price that you spend on that warranty. So that's the way I look at it. And again, I come at it from I'm not a huge fan of insurance in the first place. Like I will never buy the warranty if like I go to Best Buy and buy electronics or they offer me a warranty anywhere. Cars, vehicles, I'm like, no, I'm buying this because I believe it's reliable. And I buy this expecting, a boat. I expect this to run 10 years, 1,000 hours without significant issues. That's kind of my take on it. But yeah, it's a big, big profit center for dealers. I sold one when I was selling boats. I sold a lot of boats. And the only reason I sold it is because the lady insisted on buying it. And the margin that the dealer marks it up is pretty significant. And the margin that the manufacturer makes on the back end, I'm sure is fairly significant. So anyway, I will jump off that soapbox because I know some people. I know that that some people have bought those extended warranties because they're new to boating. Maybe they have. Hey, listen, I would rather have that and just have the the peace of mind knowing it's there, and the money. My wife is one of them. My wife is one of those people that always wants to get the warranty because she's like, well, I would rather have this and not have to worry about it for a longer period of time. So we always go back and forth on that, which is fun. But anyway, that's my thoughts there. I have a 22 SHAP, 20-hour, 50-hour, 100 hours. We had it checked. Yes, and this is something on a okay, 2022. I'm sorry, I read that as 2002. Sorry, Matt. 2022 SSI SHAP, 20 hours, 50, 100 hours. We had it checked. That's you can't say you can't check it too much, but the biggest killer of boats is the fact that people skip services. Very few people do too many services because I don't think there is such a thing. But that is good. 23 SSI. That's a nice boat. William, welcome. New to me, 2013 AR240. That's a Yamaha AR240 with the twin engines. First time did service. My question is, took it out. One engine kept cutting out around 4,500 RPMs. We'd stop the boat, turn the engine off, and it would start up again. Then the same thing. Any idea? William, my question would probably be, did you treat the fuel? Did you treat the fuel with good stabilizer like Marine 360? Is there potential? I don't think. Do Yamaha boats have? I don't think outboard. I'm asking the question if Yamaha boats have a fuel water separator. I don't think that they do. I don't think they do. Charlie, you may know on yours. As a matter of fact, I think yours may be a 240 AR now that I see that. But first thing I would do is check the fuel. That sounds like a fuel issue where it's fine. We can get through it when we're running at lower RPMs. But as we're putting more fuel through, the more water in that fuel, the more likely that you're gonna have some misfiring because you're pouring more fuel in, which means you're getting more water in. I would check that first. And then I would probably, the next thing that I would check is my fuel filters. Is there something clogged in there? But the first thing that jumps out at me is a fuel issue, especially the first time out is, although if it's just one engine, that's not right. One engine would be the fuel filter because that's going to be on the engine. The fuel water separator, if it's got one, there's probably going to be one fuel water separator before it splits off to those. Yeah, I would check the fuel filter would probably be the first thing. If it's just one. The next thing that I would probably check is a loose, when you say it kept cutting out, check your plug wires. That could be another thing as you get to higher RPM, more vibration, and maybe there's a plug wire that got, as you were winterizing it, as you were cleaning it up for the winter, that something got jiggled loose a little bit. That would probably be the next basic thing that I would check. William, after that, it gets over my head. I know a decent amount about boats, but when it comes to mechanical, technical things, it's outside of my level of expertise. But those would be the two things that jump into my head right away. If something else pops up, I'll mention it. But those would be the two. The fact that it's just one of the engines tells me it's not a fuel issue, but it could be a filter issue. It could be a plug. Yeah, let me think on that a little bit. See if I can come up with something additional for you there. On a jet boat, is it better to change the oil before putting it away? El Rivera, it doesn't matter really. I'll give you the time that it does matter. The one time when I would do it at the end of I'm sorry, at the beginning of the season and say that's the right way is if you're dealing with a carbureted engine. And if you're dealing with a carbureted engine, you need to fog the engine. You need to spray the fogging oil all through that carburetor until it runs out and dies. Um, Now, what you're doing is you're spraying that in there. That's going to cause extra smoke, extra dirt in the oil. So if you change your oil first, you've got to spray that in there till the engine dies, and then you're done. Like that's the last step that you do on a winterizing a carbureted engine. So if you do that, then you want to change the oil in the spring, because now we're going to get all that fogging oil out, right? We're going to run the engine, we're going to let all that fogging oil run through, and then we're going to change the engine oil. But other than that, if you've got a 4-stroke like a jet, like a newer Yamaha jet boat, that's going to be a 4-stroke. If it's a 2-stroke, then you're not changing the oil, right? You're just mixing. Then it doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't matter. It's either way. You could say, well, I don't want that dirty oil sitting in there all season. Okay, I can buy that. You can find, if there's water intrusion, I'll definitely say that on the gear lube on a stern drive, I would change that in the wintertime so that I know for sure there's no water in there. But on the engine oil, I'm okay leaving it in there. But you could go either way. You could convince me on either side. I would probably do it early in the season before putting it, or in the winter before putting it away, just so I can fire it up and go. Because I'm in you're talking a jet boat, but I would do the stern drive lower unit at that same time on an outboard or a stern drive. The jet drive, you just have the oil. So I could go either way, but probably at winterization time when I'm doing all that other stuff. But I don't think it's a big positive or negative one way or another. Robert, welcome. In your opinion, which is better, Tri-Tune Harris, Sylvan? I'm in the market to purchase this week, stuck between these two. Robert, here's what I'll say is they are both, the Harris is a premium brand, but the Cruiser is a mid-tier boat with a premium brand name, because they build that Cruiser different than they do the Grand Mariner, the Solstice, and even the Sunliner. The Sylvan Mirage, I'm going to have to pull that up. I don't, off the top of my head, I sold Harris's. That's why I know them so well. Sylvan pontoons. Mirage. Let me pull the Sylvan over. The Mirage. The Mirage is their quality performance. X3. Mirage X. Okay, there we go. All right, so this looks like they're probably mid-tier. The standard features, exclusive performance, steering, third tune. So what I'm doing, I can read the marketing speak and know if it's their top line or so. All right. So the Mirage is their kind of mid-level in the Sylvan lineup. Sylvan builds a good boat, but they're mid-tier. So the difference is a premium brand buying their lowest level model, which is in the mid-tier category, buying a mid-tiers boat, their mid-tier level accessory package or their package. So I would say the Harris is probably slightly better built. If you were to compare everything, I would probably be hard pressed to pick out 20 things that they do that I would say are substantially different and better or worse. They're probably back and forth. The Harris may have 10 things that they do slightly better on that cruise. Just like I said, 211 mentioned it. I mentioned it to Ray. I mentioned it to somebody else that asked a question, but I would make my decision based on which dealer is better. which dealer has the better reviews, which dealer do I click better, which dealer is closer to me physically, location wise, which is going to be easier to service. 211 just had this issue. So he ran his boat the first day, found a couple of things that needed to be addressed, and was able to take it right to the dealer because it was super convenient for him. If you listen to the podcast with Mark Phillips, he bought a Harris, I want to say it was a Grand Mariner, a Grand Mariner with a 350 Mercury Verado down in Austin, Texas. I don't remember who the dealer is down there. It may have been Sail and Ski, but which is now Marine Max. But he had issues with his. The dealer was convenient. They came out to the boat, took care of it on there. So the location is important. Quality of dealer, the personal relationship that you have, not with your salesperson, with the service department, the service manager, the service writer, or if it's a smaller dealership, the actual owner of the business. Those relationships, the salesperson's great, but when you're done in the industry, in most industries, the salesperson has to move on to the next sale to make that sale. They'll still be there and answer your phone calls, hopefully, but their focus goes to who's going to buy the next boat, who's going to buy the next boat, who's going to buy the next boat. You get turned over to the long-term relationship is with the service writer or the service manager or the owner of the dealership if they're smaller. And that's fine. Big dealership doesn't necessarily equal better experience, but I would make my decision based on those factors, knowing that those boats, if one is better than another, it's minor. The one area that I say Harris has a slight advantage is that it's a more premium brand name. So when you go to resale, it'll likely hold its value better with this caveat, unless Sylvan is super, super popular in your area. So if Sylvan is a brand that the dealer is awesome and they put a lot of them on the water in your area, then that goes away a little bit because it's all about brand recognition on the resale side. Harris has the advantage because they see the Crown, they see the Grand Mariner, and they say, "Oh, this 23 Cruise is way cheaper than those, but it's a Harris." And they may not know that it's built different than the other ones. So you can resell it for a little bit more. Sylvan, the Mirage X is built the same way as the Mirage is built same way as the M series and the S series. There's not much difference in the decking down. Whereas on the Harris, from the decking down, the Cruiser is built different than the Grand Mariner and the Solstice and the Sunliner. So hopefully that answers it. And again, you can dive into the dealer and make your decision there. Are there any other classic sport fish flybridge brands besides Hatteras, Bertram, Viking, unique to the East Coast? They're very much unique to the East Coast. Matter of fact, a lot of those are built in the Carolinas, Outer Banks area. It builds a lot, but there's a lot of custom flybridge boats. So if you look at, I'm just going to go, I don't know, Savvy, I don't know what we're going to go 40 to 50 foot. We're going to go, I don't know how far back you want to go, but I'm going to say 2010 to 2000, we'll go 20. And then well, there's one. Why is that Viking 52? I'm going to bump that up to 60. See what happens. Well, that picks us up one. Take my year back to 2000. Yeah, so you're gonna find some like the custom Carolina, where they're gonna be custom sport yachts with the towers. I don't know if you can see that real well, Savvy. Let me go to this view. Custom Carolina. Trawler. Yeah, there's not many. I'm trying to think. Prestige. I mean, you're Fairline. There are some of these like the Prestige that has a fly bridge, but it's not that classic sport fish look like the Hatteras, like this Viking. It's but it does give you the bridge with the cabin. Prestige, the Fairline is going to be another one. Azimut, I don't know if they've got a fly bridge or not. There's another custom Carolina. But this isn't, they're built nearby. I'm in, I don't know, probably, well, there's probably 8 hours from the Outer Banks, but Charleston, I want to say, there's a couple that are built in Charleston that are the custom, but I'm blanking on the names right now, Savvy. But those would be the Fairline and Prestige are the ones I'd probably check out. They're the ones coming up most often. But again, not the sport fisher, not the sport fisher lineup, but more of a fly bridge cruiser. Maybe the Princess Azimut. I don't know if the Azimut's got Sunseeker. Sunseeker would be another one. Galleon. That's why they weren't coming up. I didn't choose them. Sea Ray has some fly bridges. Absolute. I don't know them. Ferretti. So yeah, you'll find. I mean, even this 480 sedan bridge, that sedan bridge is going to give you that fly bridge, but again in a more cruiser yacht style. There's that Azimut with the Italian kind of lines. There's a Galleon. I haven't seen it, but I've been told that there's a new Galleon that's out that's amazing. I talked to a guy from Hull Shield the other day that he wants me to start offering their product, and I've checked it out. It seems very, very interesting if you keep your boat in the water and in the saltwater environment. That I want to say eliminates growths, but that's kind of their claim, is that it will keep the growth off with some ultrasonic frequencies, ultrasonic sound waves, I guess. But those would be the ones that I would check into, Savvy. And so that's a product that I'm looking into. They're out of Full Shield. They're out of Charleston. So I'm gonna, next time I'm down there, meet up with them, and I need to put my eyes on some of these boats and see. But they put these ultrasonic modules, I guess. You mount them throughout the hull, and as long as it's a 100% fiberglass hull where it's not cored with balsa wood or some other composite material, but is gonna to keep the barnacles and the growth from growing. You still need bottom paint, but they're saying because you don't need to go scrape it, your bottom paint can last for a much, much longer time because you're not getting big stuff growing on it. And it's, I would say, fairly inexpensive, like $1,800, and he says you can install it yourself. And that he says most people do. They're starting a dealer network that can actually do the install for you. I don't know if that would put it up maybe $2,500 or so, another $1,000 to install. But and they're working on a solar power source, so it doesn't have to run off. You don't have to be on shore power, although it draws very, very little. So it's an interesting thing. I need to look a lot more into it before I say, hey, this is a good product. But it's interesting if you're looking at a big style boat that's going to be expensive to haul and stay in the water, in the saltwater environment. All right. Every time. Good. That's Charlie, pulling those stoppers is key. Just one of those regular maintenance items. Stephen, welcome. Good to have you back. Yeah, 13,000. That's insane. That is insane. Happy Easter to you as well. Long-time listener, first-time caller, looking at our next used boat, 08 330 Rinker. Survey was completed. No real issues. Should we still do another survey? Well, all right. Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, you don't know what's happened in that 2 years time. And the boat is what, 15? What is that? 15, 16, 17 years old. Yeah, survey's expensive, but there could be water intrusion. Now, if you're on your second boat and you're super confident in your ability to inspect, then I don't know, maybe you could do most of it yourself, but you need to know what you're looking for. This is a video that will help. Hopefully you've watched it. That maybe this how to buy a used cruiser, 24 to 50 foot express cruiser. It's a 36-minute long video. So it goes into a lot of detail of what to look for. Somebody mentioned my big screwdriver on the last one, but this is going to be a key part is tap the hull. Everywhere there's a through hull fitting, everywhere on the transom around those stern drives, tap that. If you got the through hull fitting anywhere, anything that's below the water line, you're tapping everywhere. Underneath the boat, make sure that they didn't run aground, have any fiberglass work that you didn't see. You've got to check the drives. You've got to check the gimbal bearings on a boat that old. You've got to check your bellows. You've got to check your air conditioning system, all of the filters and all the lines. You've got to check the electrical systems. You got to check the water systems. You got to check the sump pumps and all the bilge pumps throughout. You've got to pull every single hatch, every single cover, every single thing out of that boat to look at it. You got to check the seacocks to make sure they're working. For me, you're buying I don't know what a 2008 Rinker the Express. So you're spending, I'm going to guess 50 grand on this. Whoa, man. $2008. All right, so 100. You're spending 100 grand. Hopefully, this isn't the boat you're looking at. If it is, it doesn't really matter. But you have a lot of systems, refrigerators, ice makers, electronics. You're spending 100 grand on the boat. Let's say, if you make a mistake, if you're not expert enough to find everything, a new air conditioning in that thing, 10 grand. New water heater, One, a huge, humongous pain in the butt, but a couple $1,000s. A generator, 6 grand. Installed properly, maybe more, depending on. And it's in 2008. They've gotten smaller since then, so you can probably get it in and out. But those are the types of things that on a boat this age, you may not know what the useful life of some of the components are that a surveyor will be able to tell you, hey, this is running fine now, but you probably got another year or two left in it. And it's this much to replace it here in wherever you're located. Those are the types of things that a good surveyor will be able to share with you. Now, it's going to cost you 700, 800, maybe $1,000 on this boat. There, that to me, even with the level of experience I have in boating, if I were to buy an older cruiser, if I was to buy any cruiser with the detailed systems that they have, I would hire a surveyor, because there's just some things that I don't know enough about to know it's fine now, but is it deferred? Was there deferred maintenance? Maybe there's a way to check it that I wouldn't know, that he's going to have the tools or she's going to have the tools to dig into. And those are some things that can be super valuable to know. Definitely sea trial it, no questions. No questions at all. But the survey, I, I'm going to highly recommend. I'm going to highly recommend the survey. And now, if you're coming from a cruiser, maybe you know all this stuff. Maybe if you get the survey that was done in 2021, you get your hands on it, call that surveyor and say, "Hey, Bill, I'm buying this boat. You did a survey on it in 2021. I would love for you to do it again. You know the boat. Can you give me a break?" He may or may not do it. He's got to do the whole survey over anyway. Even though he's already done it, he's gonna go through the whole thing in detail. If he's a good surveyor, he will, and that's what you want, because the boat could have overheated during that time. The air conditioning system could have been run without water. The generator, maybe they didn't change the impeller, or they haven't changed the oil in that thing for a long time, and maybe there wasn't water intrusion in 2001, but 2 years later, maybe something happened. They didn't caulk something that needed to get resealed, and now there is water intrusion, and you'll be able to hear that when you're tapping. So I think it's money well spent. Unlike the warranty that I'm not a fan of, you haven't spent that 100 grand yet. I would spend $1,000 to have him tell me to walk away and save that 100 grand and buy a boat that is going to pass mustard, versus, I just assume it's like I paid $101,000 for the boat. Hey, that's fine. I feel comfortable. If I'm comfortable buying it for 100, I'll probably buy it for 101, and I'm buying it with more confidence. It's kind of the way I look at the survey. Um, you are correct about the cell phone warranties. My oldest daughter just took the babysitting class so she can start babysitting. So we're like, all right, if she's going to be babysitting, she needs access to a phone, right? She needs to, no matter where she is, she has to be able to call for help. So we got her, well, I got a new phone. She got my old phone, and we put the insurance on that phone, because she is only 11 years old, and yes, not as responsible as you may hope. All right, perfect. So second year with the jet boat, better to change after storage if you're changed by schedule. Season becomes flood, intake Yamaha spray. So you want to start fresh, in my opinion. If you are changing by schedule or seasonal, because you flood the intake with Yamaha spray. So it's kind of that same concept of fogging your engine. and doing that. I didn't realize you had to do that on those. So thank you for sharing that, Hux. I appreciate it. What do you think of Boat US membership? Good deal, something everyone should get. Yes, absolutely, Jerry. As a matter of fact, I'm helping out the Boat US guy here in Lake Wiley. Logan's the franchise owner here. He just bought it last year. This will be his second year, and I reached out to him. I knew the previous owner, and I was reaching out to the previous owner, realized it sold. So I reached out to introduce myself to him, and he's like, "Hey, we always need extra captains if you would be interested." So I've been out with him a couple of times, and it is for, I don't know if I've got a little brochure, but for $150 for the year on Lake Wiley. He said the minimum charge for a tow is going to be about 2 hours, which is about $450 when you add everything in. And it's one of those things that, man, if you need it, you need it. And the membership will pay for itself if you use it once over a 5-year period of time. And because it can get very, very expensive. The other thing that you need to know about Boat US or Cito, they're all locally owned. Towboat US is a franchise, so they own the local franchise. Boat US, they're a local tow company that contracts with Boat US's members. So Boat US sends them all their members, but Boat US owns the membership. And so they run their business a little bit different, but they're all owned by a local owner. Now they may own multiple areas, but they're all locally owned. They do start after a 90-day period. So it's 60 or 90, I forget what it was. But which means if you buy your membership today and you need an emergency tow, you'll have to pay the fee up to whatever 60, 90 days from your sign up date. So if you're thinking about doing it, do it now so it kicks in and you're ready for the real boating season. And yeah, I think it's something that as a boater, it's one of those things that the value is there. And there's also like Cito. I've got a relationship with Cito that you can buy some of my programs for a discount, and they advertise it on their website as a member benefit. So you pay $150, you can find something that's going to save you $50, $100, $200 in their membership thing that you're going to want to use. And so you can, if you use that, you can probably make the membership free. And then if you need the tow, that's free as well. And Boat US has similar things also. So find the local owner that is the best from what the local boaters tell you, and join that one. Boat US, Cito, or if there's a local one that is well run, get signed up with them. Make sure that they're reliable. Make sure that they're going to be in business all year. They've got enough boats to support you, and they've got enough captains to operate those boats. So ask those type of questions. Choose the one that makes the most sense. Fuel filter was changed with service. Check the cooling. Make sure you get a good stream of water coming out on the side there. Jerry, I am 20, 30 minutes from Rock Hill is all. So I'm like Rock Hill, there's part of Lake Wiley that's in Rock Hill. And I can make it to like Ebenezer Landing, which is in Rock Hill. That's probably a 45-minute drive for me, but I can get to the edge of Rock Hill in 25 minutes pretty easily. Just right on the other side of I-77. So it's right in my backyard. Matt needs to be paid a monthly sub for the stuff he gives out. Matt, I appreciate that. If you would like to join, I don't think I've ever talked about this on the live, but if you want to become a member, if you go to the website, there are no I'm a terrible YouTuber. There are no advantages. There are no special gifts. I don't do anything different for members. It's just I say, um, if you want to, well, here I did 11 months ago. I did a special video that I just gave to members, um, but you can go and you can join, and you can click join a member. Um, I tell you in that video that it's appreciated. It's just a way to support what I'm doing financially. You get a little badge. You can be a deckhand for $3 a month, a captain for $5 a month, or an admiral for $10 a month. Herb is a member, and I appreciate that very much. I think last year or last month I made $43 on memberships. So it's a little thing. It's very much appreciated, and not required at all to be part of it. But if you do feel the desire to support me financially, it's always appreciated. The other way is just sharing the videos, telling people about the free Boater Bootcamp or the Best Boat Captain program. All of that stuff is valuable. And what happens is if people find my content, they'll watch more videos and they'll say, oh, maybe these programs might be worth. And I don't turn this into a big plug, but so I just got set up to be able to offer products, like like everything, not everything, a lot of the stuff you can get at West Marine, you're now going to be able to buy from me, through a distributor relationship that I was able to set up. So if you want to get like your dock lines, you can buy those from me. I haven't got it set up. We're going to put the store in here, but I'm going through the products and I'm curating them a little bit, because I don't want to offer things that I'm like, one, you don't need it. Like dock lines, you need good dock lines, but I don't like the bungee dock lines for most people unless you really need a snubber. So I'm going to take those out from the general store, and I'm going to probably do a video on them and say, all right, here's the situation where you may use them and they'd be valuable. So stuff that you don't need, stuff that I like, cleaning products, and I'm like, don't use that on your boat. I'm going to try to take all that stuff out and just offer stuff that I can say, hey, this is what you're going to want. Just like this docking video, this dock lines video. I say, all right, we've got, matter of fact, you'll see it. I've got all this dock line that, I went through and I did a video, talked about double braided, triple strand, what size you need for the size boat, what length you need for the size boat, snubbers, all that kind of stuff, so that people can make a smart decision. And if they want to buy their stuff from me, awesome. That would be much appreciated. So thank you for that, Matt. I appreciate it. You're right, Cap. We'll probably sell within the next couple of years. I'm looking forward to the next QX. I see there is, and that's one of the things that as a boater, you're always looking for that next one. And not everybody will do it, but a good portion of you that are listening will maybe even have your next one picked out. Maybe it's a different style, maybe it's bigger, maybe it's newer, maybe it's faster, maybe it's just the exact same boat, but with that one option you wish you would have gotten. And that is it's just the nature of being a boater, I think. So I had a feeling sustainability, you might be in that category. I'm not the marketing department, but you can get a paid subscription to support the YouTube channel. Yep. So if you want to do that, I just showed it. I don't want this to be a big, huge commercial, but I usually, oh, that's what I didn't do. I forgot to turn on my scrolling banner. So, all right, let's see. Let's get back to the comments here. All right. Be tough to top the QX. Hey, listen, it's amazing what they're coming out with now, in the new stuff. There is sustainability. This might be worth upgrading for. The new ladders that they're putting on the Benningtons. I don't think you have it. but I did a video on it. This new Revo ladder that Lily Pad Diving Board put out is, in my mind, it is worth the upgrade if you're thinking about it to a new boat. Um, I really, the video that I got didn't do it justice, but it is like walking up a set of stairs, but it folds up. See if this will work. It folds up just like a normal ladder. It's easier to deploy. It's easier to retract the way that if they've done it. And I met Ed and his brother-in-law, who are their partners. You can see how it folds up right there. I mean, it just looks like a regular ladder, but it is. I was like, this is awesome, man. This thing is great. They don't pay me for any of this. They don't. I don't have any relationships where I sell it. I just think these are it's a great family owned business that they've innovated some really cool stuff in the boating industry. They've got the lily pad diving board. They've got this ladder. They've got a fuel fill, a fast fuel fill thing. If you have to fuel your boat up and you don't have pumps on the dock or on the lake that you're on or the body of water that you're on, you can fill it through this. It's easier. They've got these mounts which they use to mount grills and to mount their ladders that are flush mount that are really cool. But this ladder might be enough. If you haven't watched that one, Sustainability, check it out. I think I think you will. Um, I think you will find that interesting. All right, let's see here. Copy all. Good deal. All right. Looking to get my entry level captain's license. Do you have any courses that you would recommend? I currently reside in Guam. All right. So Jack to Holland. I started doing my captain's license online. I thought, I know this stuff. I can do it online. Well, it turned out that I didn't have the discipline to go online and do it. There is a ton of material. So I ended up having to go to the class. I went to C school. Um, school which I know Captain Spivey that does the classes. He does on-water training here in the Charlotte area, and he teaches the school. Matter of fact, Captain Tim was one of the instructors that is helps me out on the Confident Coastal Boater program that we offer. And he brought that coastal boating expertise that I didn't have enough to teach the class. So he brought that in. They have an online program. It's tough, but this was, let's see if I can find him. Uh, Captain's training signals. This guy right here, US Captain's training. If he does an online version, and he may, I don't know, but this guy is an outstanding teacher. There on some of the areas that just weren't clicking for me. I watched his videos and he was fantastic. He's out of the Great Lakes in Michigan somewhere. And he is, what is his name? Captain Neil. But this guy, if you just want to get a head start on learning the knowledge, because there's a lot of things that unless you are in the commercial boating world that you may not know, I would start with his channel. If he's got if he has a course, yeah, so he's got the online OUPV. That's what you want. That's your six pack, Jack. Jack, that is the six pack license in the US. In Guam, I assume that may be the starting point for you as well as a territory, but I don't know that for a fact. But I would go check out him because I think as an online trainer, he probably is one of the best that you'll find. And If you can do the in-person, for me, I can sit and listen to somebody live and watch them and retain that information really, really well. But I for whatever reason, I wasn't able to do it via the online program that I signed up for. I didn't sign up for this one, but I would venture to say that if you're going to do it online, he's a guy you could learn from, or he's a guy I could learn from with his videos. So, but I don't think he had the online version at that point. Or I had already paid my money to get in the C school program, and I was on that path. So that's where I would check out. The Guam thing you'll have to look into, because I just don't know. So hopefully that's helpful for you. But it's in the US, it's the OUPV, and it's known as the six pack. If you hear people talking about your six pack, that means you can take 6 paying customers out on an uninspected vessel, and then they'll give you your rating where you can go offshore, depending on your boating experience. And then if you want to go from there, it's a pretty easy upgrade to get your master, which is just another certain hours of training and another big long test. For me, it made sense just to do them all together, to do the OUPV test, pass it. There's 3 versions of the test. You got to do chart plotting. You've got to do general deck, and general, was it deck general, and I forget what it is. It's been a while ago, but you do 3 tests, pass those, and then you can do the master and move up to your masters. And that's when you get your 25 ton, your 50, your 100 ton master. I'm a 25 ton because I operate pleasure boats. I have no desire, no intention, no plan to go run commercial tugs or anything like that. I needed it to train people, and because I truly make money operating boats, so I needed it for that. But I don't have any plans to to run a big boat that's over 25 ton. I don't necessarily think those skills overlap, but hopefully that's helpful for you. I'm getting way off topic. Could be the kill switch in the back where the clean out that has worked itself loose. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, there is, when you pull those plungers out, when you pull those clean out ports out, if they're not all the way in, there's a shut off there, because inside there is a very a very high RPM spinning shaft. So that's a great one. Rear engine cool six. Thank you for sharing that, Hux. Appreciate it. Exactly what we're doing. Some surveyor has a 2001, 700 hours, 250 put on, so it makes sense. Awesome. Awesome. Savvy, what is a typical maintenance schedule for larger in-water boats versus boats that are out of the water when not in use? When you say, Savvy, tell me what you mean by typical maintenance schedule. Are you just talking like engine maintenance? Are you talking bottom paint, like reapplying bottom paint? Because we were talking about the hull shield and that. Let me know what you mean by that. The bigger boats, you've got to use a travel lift. So a lot of times they will do as much service as they can in the water. But I would say I'm going to say every 2 years, you're probably going to pull it and redo your bottom paint. Now with something like the hull shield, you are, oh, we're at 10 o'clock already. So we're an hour and a half in. If the hull shield works the way that they say it does, and they've got some pretty good proof that it does, they're saying, all right, hull system, engines, anything exterior. Yeah. So you can do the inboards, they're probably going to be an inboard or a pod drive. So the external maintenance really just comes down to bottom paint and changing out your anodes, which you get a diver. You get a diver to dive the boat, scrape barnacles, and do check the props. You can do all that stuff. You can even change anodes with the diver. They can get down there and do most everything. The engine is going to be, they're probably going to be diesel in most cases when you get over 40 feet or so. In the US anyway. The smaller in the other parts of the world, they go diesel earlier. But in the US, we usually about 40 feet is when you move into diesels. And so you're still going to do your fluid changes. And you can do that when you're in the water. They use extractors and they use stuff like that. There's no gear oil because there's no stern drive on most of those. And those boats are under 40, so they're a little bit easier to haul. You can maybe even do it on a trailer in a lot of cases. But the bigger boats, you're going to use a travel lift, which you don't know if you've never seen a travel lift, they look like this. So they've got four big wheels on it, and they've got straps that they'll run under the belly of the boat. And there's marked on the bigger boats, you'll notice they say sling, and there'll be a little marking where you put the slings, and that's going to be the even point to haul it out. When you see those boats get lifted by the cranes and they fall out, that's because they didn't get the strap set right, or there's for whatever reason, the balance on the boat is off and they have bad things happen. But they'll pull it with the travel lift, get it blocked up. And the bottom paint, you typically will do every 2 years. In between, you're getting barnacles scraped off with the diver, in the growing season when the water's warm, maybe every month, every 2 months, depending on where you're keeping the boat. And I don't know if every area has those issues, but a lot of them do with getting those off. When you do that, it kind of, because you're scraping off the bottom paint, and it needs to get done every 2 years. They're saying that with the hull shield, you can extend that to 3, 4, even potentially 5 years, because that ultrasonic keeps the growth from happening, which you don't have to scrape. And then also the paint is going to last longer as well. So the other stuff, you may want to, anything below the water line that needs to be sealed and caulked, that's every time you haul the boat, you're going to do all that stuff. So you're going to be on the hard for a period of time, painting, if you need to do any realignments of the shafts or stuff like that. But it's let's say a huge ordeal. But it costs some money and it costs some time, and then you got to store it on the hard as well. So anyway, that is, let's see, systems, engine, your generators. You're going to need to do maintenance on your gens. You're going to need to change your oil every 50 or 100 hours in the generator. You're going to need to change your impeller every so often. That's pretty easy to do depending on the engine compartment setup. The access, that's what's going to be the most difficult. Is if the access is hard, it makes the job hard. If the access is easy enough, it's a pretty simple job. And then you've got, I don't know, your air conditioner maintenance, changing your filters, cleaning your filters a lot. You got to exercise pretty much everything that moves in the boat. So make sure that all of your sump pumps are working, your bilge pumps, your seacocks are being open and closed for the right reasons. Any filters in your water system, make sure those are getting cleaned. Any strainers are getting cleaned out if you run in shallow, gunky water, that the strainers are water pulling from the source up into the engine, the air conditioner strainer, all that stuff that is pulling water in to cool, that needs to be cleaned. Some of that stuff can be, every time you run it, you want to check it monthly. The air conditioning, every couple of months, clean out that depending on how dirty the environment you're in, how much dust is in your boat, the age of the system, all that stuff can play into it. But there's, I'll say, a lot. You need to be consistent with it. So A minimum, you all need divers to scrape the bottom several times a year unless the hold shield works great. Yeah, that is, Herb, that's the part that I'm going to go down to Charleston and try to figure out, because it sounds amazing. You know, they won the innovation award from boating industry. I know a lot of the folks at Boating Industry Magazine, and you know, they do their due diligence when they issue those things. But they also look at the company's marketing material. And, you know, that's one of the things that, how do you confirm it? And that's what I want to go down and see the boat that they have it on. He said they got it on like a 42 Aquila, which is I think it was a 42. Yeah, so this is the company boat that the owners have it on, 42 Aquila, which is a catamaran, and that they leave in the water down in Charleston. So that'll be a pretty good one to check it out on. Matt, anyone watching now or later, Matt is 100% the real deal, as they say. Real can see real. This guy is the most genuine real guy on YouTube. If anyone you see this later, this guy. Thank you, Matt. I very much appreciate that. I very much appreciate that. So, all right. I think that's the last one there. That's a great way to end it. Troy, you're very welcome. Glad to have you join us. And guys, I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate all the support for the past several years. If you're new, check out our stuff at the website, and our this will be easier. Our Boater Bootcamp, which is free. Our Boat Buyer Toolkit, which is free. Just sign up and you get that information. We've got a bunch of 5-star reviews on our paid programs, The Best Boat Captain. Hopefully this coming week, if the weather and everything works out, I'll be filming the twin engine version, which I'm excited about. Trailek, a Pro, Confident Coastal Boater, Tow Water Sports. Check those out if you want. They all come with the money back guarantee. Captain Matt's personal happy boater money back guarantee. And thank you guys, very much appreciated. And we'll catch you all next week. Happy Easter. See you next weekend.